Cool. Hello, TikTok Live. Radical here. Um, and today I'm going to be reading the Musea Anthology 2026 of Psyche, which is a poetry book that I am featured in, my first published poem. Basement is on here. If you haven't already checked it out on my YouTube channel, please do. I made a whole music video for it with like a full movie score behind it. Um, so yeah, let's get on with the poetry because I am always terrible at ad-libbing. Um, this first poem is called I Want, I Want, I Want by Emily Donoghue. I want to flirt like an avoidant cat you can't stroke, and write like Afra Ben, delighted in a soft man's disappointment, and be heard like a prophet with a megaphone the size of Canada. I want unlimited wishes and psychedelic snowflakes that lace the masses with a fleeting anarchy, and gibbons playing violin on every street corner wearing bow ties that spin, and crowds that sing for no particular reason other than they can. I want an X-Files reboot and Moon for nipples, and an apology from the government instead of an apology of a government. I want to get so fat I get airlifted to Sainsbury's each time I run out of milk. But I don't run out of milk, because I live on a farm, because I have a dazzling abundance of cows, and a man who brings me milk each night before returning to his barn. I want to be loved and let loose like a horse without a saddle, and be free, but not so free I forget the art of landing. On your lap, in my home, on my knees, and you turn and say, it's a kind of prayer, what you do to me. So that's the first poem. This is a whole anthology. There's also like prose and script in here, as well as artwork. If you want the full thing, you'll have to buy it when it goes on sale. But I am just going to be doing the poetry tonight. So we will go to the next poem. And this next poem has an Arabic title that I can't read, but it's not in Arabic, so I will read the poem. And it's by Talia Tomley. In an hour we will have to crawl through barbed wire, but we do not know this yet. Mud becomes dust, exposing patterns, bark roots as we tread, the sun wide like a wilting rose. Your backpack straps on exposed skin. I look at your chest and think of my fingertips. You look into my eyes, then glance over my shoulder. I try to reassure you the trees are not watching us. I taught you how to swear in my language, so you tell me to say 3 words in yours. You repeat them back. Momentarily, I think you're correcting my pronunciation. No telling what they mean. You type on my iPhone screen, smirking as we flirt through Google Translate. You tell me the summer heat reminds you of home, and I wish I could read your mind as you stare into the middle distance. And this next poem is called My Grandmother is Contained in the Stovetop Flame by Nara Rasool. Evening brought me to my knees. On the blackened vinyl floor of our kitchen, my mother stood stirring while I huddled below, innocent palms unfurled to catch the flour slipping from her sleeves as she carved the sunburnt plains of Punjab in the chili-stained walls of a slow cooker. Her concentration thickened, the air between us like smoke, as the oil rose to meet her bony fingertips, clink of steel on steel, the only conversation needed. Every so often, the steam would fill our nostrils with an urgency, a beckoning, and I'd hear a muffled gasp as her lungs thought back to a land just past the horizon. A land that now exists only in the smell of turmeric, coriander, and bitter garam masala that grips the throat like a love never given space to be heard. This next one, I'm not going to talk a lot in between these because I'm terrible at ad-libbing. But this next one is called My Father Was a Painter by Grace Simpson. Who worked for himself in a rugged old van, paint pots pummeled from 9 to 5. Cleaning it every Sunday became his public ritual, dusting the walls decorated in decades of me, polishing his image of a family man who provides for children through his hands. My father refused to buy pre-made paint. The slender piece of wood snapped a little each week, after dancing into a new creation of colour. Love rooted deep, he began drawing from my youthful skin, bleeding in red. He laid paint pots to collect every drip, 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 until they overflowed. My father was a painter who worked for himself in an old rugged van. He cleaned it every Sunday. Under the decorated walls of decades of me sat pots of my raw youthful red. My father loves to paint, and I loved my father. Every Sunday I renew his material, my private ritual, where closed pots of pure love awaits, in case he never came back and needed to earn his keep. I pour my love in your paint pots with drip, 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 until they overflow. Yeah. So this next one is called The House at Night by Laura Rendina. It is midnight. Mother and brother sleep. These sounds do not disturb them. From upstairs I hear noises, squelching and brushing. The kitchen downstairs is illuminated as I step downwards. I absorb the scent of oil, acrylic, and graphite. I arrive as quickly as a ghost, unnoticed by him. He is sketching in the night, my father, the lonely artist. I watch as he draws with the pencil into a once blank canvas. Observing another beautiful woman, his inspirations may be a singer, an actress, or a photograph of lilies in a glass vase. Furnished, he mechanically takes a brush. Like a dagger dripped into oil paint, the stains bleed into the portrait, his favourite fatigue paint that never dries. A monochrome person lies in growth before me. In concentration, he never sees me as I see. His creation from nothing flourishes to life. Each new line is like the shooting of stems. I am entrenched in his ability to create. I stare out of the window, gazing at the moon and the stars. Moonlight is a lovely luminescence in the dark, a single orb in the sky, foreign among the speckles of light. If I count enough stars, I can create a constellation. I am linked to the art like the links between each star. I pick up a piece of white paper and mimic what he draws or paints. I hear only etchings of pencil, brushes, and angry cats. A screaming cat raises my hair in panic. Oi, cat! Why do you scream so at this hour? Don't you know all is meant to be silent? Lines and shapes on my page fill with remnants of smudged carbons and metals. I breathe in the earthy metallic smell. I recreate this woman without ever meeting her. She is young and tonight's muse. I pick it from the beach table and take it upstairs with me. My father is an artist, and he never saw me, vanishing like an apparition. I am a phantom apprentice, leaving the artist alone again. My muse of the night would simply become a forgotten piece. So that was that. You should eventually, when it eventually goes on sale, buy the book, because there's some really good prose and script and artwork in here as well. But yeah, this next poem is called Chewing on Barbed Wire by Holly Grimes. When coughing becomes choking, you turn to lying about the boy you knew as a boy. He, with the cherry red Rayleigh, whose chain hung loose as he crawled the cobbled hill. He, whose outstretched hand you met with a fist, the whir of spokes. He, whose gap-toothed bony grin now braces the cold of the dell, becoming tomorrow's schoolhouse melancholy. Hymns in his name ring through the parish, blessing his sodden cotton socks, that damp, clandestine guilt. You, with limbs like matchsticks, scrounge the apothecary's cabinet, an absent balm for incurable toil. In the air hung his prescribed litanies, uttered threadbare through the desperate lips, for the boy who washed upon the bank, round in the parsonage of flags, are as crooked as your incisors, the largest mossy stone reeds, an age too short to consider. And this next one is called Autopastoral, So I'm Alive, by Verona Charman. And he looks at me, like the corpse we found in the forest, wound round the roots of a Douglas fir, covering his mouth at the odour of rotting and late spring's wild garlic. He tries to catch his dimming reflection in the remains, in the carmine crushed beneath the body, stiff, silvery, too small and breathless to care for. Its tail arched back to its forehead. He has no interest in the gouge, half a dozen splinters running from its arms to paralyzed legs, half hidden by the trampled carpet of bluebells. Still, he finds himself weeping in the gouge across my stomach, watching a name lost in the blood between his teeth. So yeah. This next one is called Nuclear War from Removals by Cherry Eckel. When she was 14, she watched a film set in her city on BBC Two about the world ending. She recognized the high street that crowds of people scrambled across, screaming as sirens ran out. The mushroom cloud above the Debenhams, where she bought her first bra. The sound of a baby crying. A sudden flash of white, bright orange fire. From then on, her mind was occupied with the thought of what she would do if a nuclear war ever happened. Staring up at the sky, trying to drown out Mr. Hopkirk's history lesson, waiting in the queue in Woolworths with her mum on Saturdays, climbing the stairs to her flat on the 7th floor. Every breath presented the opportunity to be twisted into an apocalypse for her to hold up to the light of her imagination and examine. What would you do if there were about to drop a nuclear bomb? Her mother stood in the kitchen floor, winter coat still covering her nurse's scrubs, face unmoving, as if she wasn't even there. I'd jump, and I'd make sure you jumped too. So this next one is called Hysteria by Georgia Worgan. Words tangled, impenetrably tied, shaky skeleton navigating fog, pulse drumming, arching in strangled silence. The church bell rings, toiling, toying, the echoes of death, Trapped in a cell, formerly a hideaway, chest rising, up, down, front row seat to a performance by a familiar actor. Shallow breaths, in, out, trembling palms clinging to a ghostly exterior, scars and regrets etched into every inch of skin, a reminder of failure, mind clouded, vision darkened, fate sealed. And this next one, quite topical. It's called Gazan Princess by Farhan Khan, and as always, Free Palestine. Soft bed sheets of cotton pink walls bathed in a rosy glow, fairy lights that gently blink as silver stars begin to show. Dolls lined up in perfect rows, teddies gathered soft and sweet, little shoes and tiny clothes, coloured blocks stacked pound and neat. Tucked within her cosy place, she curls up safe, away from harm. The room, though small, a cherished space, a kingdom built with care and calm. Then suddenly a deafening boom blasting in, shattering the peace, exploding with vengeful might, a cruel reminder of her life. Disney rug now torn and stained, Barbie brush its bristles crushed. The cartoon clock ticks no more, books scattered all over the floor. Red splashes paint the scene, a sight too cruel to hold. Eyes now closed no longer shine, her body a sight no child should be. A mother's heart sliced with pain, in her arms her child's remains. Once full of light her baby's face, now tiny hands cold and pale. Endless screams, raw and sharp, a primal cry of grief too deep. She wails to the skies above, a mother's heart now incomplete. Then a whisper from her sweet voice. "Mum, it's not fair," the little girl sighed. "Why me? I didn't do it. I'm not to blame. I always listened, I always tried, helped with chores, was always kind. Mum, please," she appealed. "Tell them I'm good. Make them see." Mum steadied, wiped her tears, hugged her close and kissed her cheek. "My angel, you're good, always have been. I'll carry you forever, you'll never leave me. Rest for now in the arms of grace, in heaven's sweet, warm embrace. I'll join you soon, don't fear, my love. We'll meet at the gates where suffering will cease." Yeah, quite a dark one, but also very important. This next one is called March by Adeora Collins. The purple tube top I never used to wear is worn kaleidoscope and co-op vodka. Vinyl decks at the party and the girl who slept with you before I did. Sunlight's teases and trickery. It's too cold to be wearing just a t-shirt, but the light makes the breeze smell sweeter. My tonsils are taken out, and coming back from the druggy sleep is like emerging from nothing. You come back to reality, and for a few minutes, while you cry and gasp for air as the nurse feeds you morphine, the world is full of only harshness. I rest with codeine and crochet. Omar's birthday. She won't teach me any more stitches from beyond the grave, and I am too lazy to learn. Your arms to sleep in every night, almost every night, and I don't mind the space before, but what if after I do, after March or maybe further? No tonsils, no scabs, so I drink and feel fulfilled. Rum and coke is a tool for introspection. Sitting on the toilet, I write on my phone. It's always my mum at the end of the day and no one else. You and I go to the Peak District. We see two rainbows floating one atop of the other. We see two deer. There are two of us, and when we go home, we both come, one atop of the other. This next one is called December Thaw by Verona Charman. Small taupe eruptions, tails scuttle through the bush, quiet, matted fur. The morning is drier than yesterday. Sunlight heats the pavement but fails to reach me, unthawed, embalming in a suede jacket, tight at the waist. A faint odour of piss from the charity shop. Still, the high street empty, mums in kitchens, dressing gowned, picking at leftover turkey. He grumbles, yeah or nahs or yeah nahs. I think a dead woman, named Steelcast, on the bench back, leaning back, filling amorphous silence between us. He imitates, eyes on tremoring fingers, tapping my frosted knees. I grin, ripping the chapped skin off my lips. He says he wants to talk, not fuck. It would be easy to fish from mistletoe. Parasitic and unassuming, spreading through my choking lungs, branches beneath my tongue, breaching him, barbed, locking into one another, suffocating sugar plum, plasma. He can't look at me in daylight. I stretch to the apple tree, flaccid above my head, grappling at the branch of bursting white wax berries, rolling the twig between my fingers. I think, if I raised this, hanged, in the bitter cavity between us, he would leave, lips clenched. I drop it beneath the bench, crunching underfoot, white film over frozen glass, splinters in my palm. Yeah. There's a lot of really good prose in this. So when it is eventually for sale, I don't know when that will be yet. But this next poem, I have to bring it closer to me because there's some amazing artwork and the poem is smaller print than the others. It's called I'm Squirming by Abigail Haworth Singleton. When the bugs consume my flesh, eat away at the bones and muscles, they will leave my decaying heart behind, because they know it belonged to you. Under the dirt, the grass, fallen leaves, the slate possibly empty and undecorated, not much to remember, I assume, hopeless. Etched in my soul, your name sits quietly. My decomposing heart belonged to you only. Starved worms nibble at the chambers, sneaking out at dusk to see your face, escaping through muddied fields at dawn. Beetles and bugs, which smothered my shoes, now stripping the blood from stained vessels, collapsing veins replaced by squelching worms, decaying dry skin covered by sickly snail slime. You may never have called it love, those nights we had laid together, limbs entwined, our whole feeling eternal. The bugs knew not to disturb our moment. Even if you never visit my corpse, when you forget the outline of my face, the curve of my hips, breasts and behind, you'll hold a moment inside my expired mind. This next one is called Would I Be Beautiful to You by Grace Simpson. If I starved myself with only air to fill me until the salt from my bile burnt holes in my abdomen, if I cut chunks out of my hanging gut until I took kitchen scissors and carved slabs out of my own fat, if I pushed my fingers down my throat until the smell of vomit lingered where I stood, if I dissected memories from my brain with a butcher's knife until they allowed me to be free of my tormented cage, If I worked harder until my elbows were rubbed raw, until skin no longer wrapped itself around my bones. So I ask again, would I be beautiful to you? If I could starve until the aromatic smell of food repulsed me, if I could cut at fat until the body I lived in could snap at a single push, if I could butcher my brain until all I thought of was how many more sit-ups before I can smile, because I would do it all to be beautiful to you. This next one is called Bound to a Stake by a Pink Lace Ribbon by Tegan Hugh. And if the smoke blowing around me suddenly regresses into the blazing inferno of the past, if I was to burn for simply being a woman, what would I have to lose? My voice that falls upon ignorant ears, when the only word they hear is yes, and they don't listen when I shout. I doubt they'll flinch when I scream. My power, what power? The performance, am I? The jester, the damsel, the witch? Am I a joke, the subject of ridicule, helpless, waiting for a man to lift me up? Or crazy and cruel, a radical, satanic lesbian, pointing fingers at perpetrators in the hall of mirrors? Would I miss my womanhood, my oldest friends, envy, anger, pain, and fear, looped on a keychain pressed between my knuckles, as I walk the man-made path, dimly lit, half-blind? Hundreds of women like wraiths like me, with me we're together and always alone. As I burned, I would think on all the useless things, all the things they don't care about. If I burned at the stake in nothing but a pink lace ribbon, would I be beautiful then? Or would I be a woman burning in spite of the men that put me there, that threw a match at my body glistening with oil, the sacrificial lamb, the perfect damsel ripe for rescuing, for falling at the feet of a man? But it's too much, too late. Maybe if she wasn't so, if she talked less. They don't listen. My screams are swallowed by flame. This next one is called Crucified by the System by Catherine Hardy. In what conditions should I be pardoned around in? I'll start again. In what conditions should I be paraded around in? With their eyes rich in disgust and slight flickers of awe, licking their lips, sucking the saliva back through their teeth. I watch as the numbers dance and twirl around the plate, with bells screaming at walls as they curve and ache to keep shelter above the heads of the people, corridors lined with a market of bodies, decorating floors and chairs. Oh, how emotions ripple and crash across their faces while we wait to lie in a proper bed. They drag me to a pop-up room fed with cardboard cutout food, the colours melting away with the rising steam. I wait, observing, each unusual form and shape entering and leaving my room to the glances at what is congealed on the sheets. Thrusting pills sealing my lips with threads on loose-fitted gowns as I ask them to seal my fate. As I am distributed back to the system at a grade 8, not in harm's way, I wait to be obtained and labelled with the tag of a PTSD whore. This next one is called By the Hand of a Woman by Cherry Eckel. All of the people in here, by the way, are really great writers, and I know that because I was lucky enough to be on a creative writing course at university with them. And yeah, you should check out all of the people in this book because they're all really talented. By the Hand of a Woman by Cherry Eckel. After Judith beheading Holofernes by Artemisia Gentileschi, Rothko oil slick, 26 muscles sparming, orgasm on the butcher's shop floor, parabolas cackling across excited air, carotid communion wine emissaries, cardinal cardiovascular stutter, guttural geyser, squirting cochineal, red spurs slur the silk, Mars gargles the sharp arpeggio, fury gnaws fingers, and adrenal ecstasy, breath becomes a war drum, drunk heart pumps a mocking reflex, swelling lactic acid stabs triceps, almost there, don't give up yet. Daughter of my mother, daughter of my grandmother, daughter of my great-grandmother, daughter of my great and grandmothers before me, battalions beating under breasts, here we are, bouquet of viscera blooms. I will show your illustrious lordship what a woman can do. I will show your illustrious lordship what a woman can do. Thank you very much for joining. I've just seen the message. This next one is called Wrestle Jacob by Connie Ryder. In conversation with Paul Coogan. When wrestling here, life and death are like whiplash, beating of my wings against your back. Maybe you won't last in the sweet and shimmer under setting sun, but this is the start. Your nun, kneeling beneath tired tree, mutters as dust stirs, counting beads between fingertips through the sunset. I stay with you all night. For one night, soothe your soul, let it all out. I'll be dead by sunrise. Let you push and pull at my robes and tug at cord. In that nun still watching, is she jealous of the way I get to you, nickname you, leave you changed and aching? Next poem. Here we are. 2 seconds. Cool. This next one is called The Shape of Sharks is Older Than Stars by Iris Skipworth. Like a space shuttle, from nose cone to tail fin, their design is actually a ninth the age of the sun, which is to say, they have orbited this entire galaxy. Twice. Humans live in a single slow-liddled blink that opens to look on a new world. Short but sweet. This next one is called After the One I Love by R.E.M. by Connie Ryder. A robin's breast is a sunrise on this winter, a sure sign of warmth for one breath, before a twitch and cock it goes. For a snow-blanketed shrub far out of sight, it does not pray to he who controls the weather, only the sky-gazer, my eyes unblinking for one moment, 1,000 beautiful realities. I wonder if they know about love. This next one is called Fragments Not Yet Purposed by Thomas Lawrence. The target evades us all. You don't realize until you've had a shot. It's cold on the street, moving feet, synthetic houses. I used to see myself in it. Now I don't see myself in anything. Did the same witch curse you too? We're on the ground floor going down. I've cried 1,000 tears. It made me dehydrated. I've done 1,000 cliches. They were never done again. They were done again. 3 things are certain: death, taxes. I owe you more poems and the singing of birds, so don't send me flowers. Send me more life. We were once strangers. Time didn't exist. Life was a wasteland. There's blood to be shed, so let's start bleeding. Look for me in every view spotted from every train window, in every stiff breeze you will ever curse, in the spinning lights of every lighthouse, on every god-forsaken rock you find yourself on. There's dust on my clothes that will never settle, from the damned circuits I trod just to know your name. Thank God it's today, because yesterday you were not equipped. It isn't half full, it isn't half empty. The cup is upside down. Practice headstands to hold it all up. Pray that tomorrow is the day we met. A Quiet Heart by Joseph Bolland. I feel a silent flutter in my heart as I witness an empty bridge at dawn, before the porcelain morning catches its own reflection in the river. The innocent clouds go pink at first light as they drift, reaching a soft embrace, and I consider a dream that has been perfuming. My conscious mind I stood before, wide, unmoving eyes, cracks, freckles, across the face of a mute dam keeping in the bursting. The sky rises earlier and earlier, preceding the looming showers. Blooming memories and brushes kept me warm on frozen winter nights when I walked alongside the heart and stayed with me through each golden hour, to the wind that strayed so far from home and the sweet flowers in the park that changes, once there between the travelling trees, that look like strangers in a passing window of humility. Meet me where the paths cross, in the reminiscing penfold box beneath the quiet bridge. And this one is called Goodnight Cariad by Anwin Kay. God is the hand slapping the back of my knees. Winter surprised us all in all the snow, a crowded train carriage, a smoker's cough. Cuppa? Cup of tea? Some sugar and milk in your brew? Can I tempt you to a bourbon from the tin in the parlour? It has lilac roses on it, whose petals bloom and curl like yawning mouths, whose thorns arch like the cat's back when the car turned the corner. We left him, stiff and blue, at the hearth for 3 days, buried him in the garden on New Year's, with a gnawed bone and a letter to God. Who is the stinging sin in the crook of my elbow? God is my mother on a wintry morning, waking me for school. Cupping my face, she frowns, scrapes ice from my window pane. Jack Frost was here last night. My inheritance, you said, was God, was draped on the kitchen counter, with empty mugs and mouldy fruit, a rosary your grandmother gave you, with a little wooden Jesus, feet braced demurely against the cross. I saw him last in late March, wading through reeds. I plucked the pennies from the dead man's eyes. Still blue, he lay dejected beside me, wrinkling his nose at the cheap perfume. Just going to the next poem. This one is called Hypnagogia by Emily Donoghue. The head is a hanging star and the heart a poet. So the hands write as clumsily as the toddler, optimistic, forgetting the dull of days spent bent over the lap of logic. Here there is little, just the bare feet of thought wandering through the playground. This is a fun one. This one is called My Granny the Nazi by Greta Core Taylor. Granny's got Hitler on the mantelpiece. Every week she gets out the grease and polishes the frame until it's sleek. Sometimes she takes it to sleep, stares at it longingly and weeps. Granny's got Hitler on the mantelpiece. He's been there since I was 3, looking down at me. That's your granddad, she used to coo with glee. Granny's got Hitler on the mantelpiece. She's got lots of brown cloth that she keeps in a box in the loft. When I was 15, I found it all dusty. She scoffed when I said, should I bring it down to the charity shop? Granny's got Hitler on the mantelpiece. She's got a cat called Kreutz, her gerbils called Goebbels, and her bat's named Barmer. Barmer ate banana, Gerbils ate grapes, Kreutz ate crisps but never crepes. She'd call, can you go feed the Third Reich for me, dearie? Granny's got Hitler on the mantelpiece. The other week, while Granny was asleep, I took a peep. Her walls were covered in military artillery. The bed was red, the walls were brown. Himmlers hung above her crown. Help! My Granny really is a Nazi. I creep over and I count. 1, 2, 3. I grab the pillow. Oh no, it's suddenly covering Granny. She gasps, she twists. I hold her wrists. Finally she goes limp. I raise the pillow, tuck her in, gaze her cheek and whisper, shh. Granny, now go to sleep. The next morning I told the police. I don't know what the problem could have been. She was fit and lively as a flea. How could she go in her sleep? I suppose she was partial to a custard cream. She was always clogging those arteries. Now Granny sits in a pot on the mantelpiece. And this next poem is my poem that I wrote. It's my first published poem. And it's called Basement. And I hope you like it. It's very important you do not let the police in my basement. I am a dislocated Sharpie on your paperwork, the static hissing from the amps at a punk show, the feedback from a sledgehammer fucking a piano. I am DIY and duct tape trying to hold this all together, a thing you can't sell. I am wire cutters in prison, the middle finger to your television, the screams your parents call just noise, the one the Daily Mail warned you about. I am a riot in the mirror. I am kick-ass femininity, the strength of masculine vulnerability. I am sugar and spice and all things nice. I am spit and cum and all things naughty. And it is very important you do not let the cops in my basement. 'Cause you'll find the tiny little box I was supposed to fit in. The one with the cool-ass flames and tribal tattoos and really boring clothes. You'll find it ripped apart, decapitated, covered in its old, stale blood. Stabbed multiple times. I went to town. I mean, it was a massacre. I mean, it was brutal. And you'll find the old me in there too. Still with the same old he, him pronouns. Tied up, bereft of breath. Rotting from the stabbing. And if you liked that, you can go and watch it on my YouTube channel as well. I made a music video version of it with a full movie score that I'm quite proud of. So yeah, do feel free to check that out. This next poem is called Stomach Sonnets by Martha Kelly. I'm listening to a woman speak of lost love. I'm focusing on her heartbreak and praying to above that once she finishes and the audience applaud, I can quietly leave and pretend I got bored. I had a That's So Raven moment during her set, a premonition that things felt upset, so I'll say I've got no manners instead of being cursed with IBS. While the poet becomes more animated, my system's getting more aggravated from a risky curry that makes my insides twist. I'll be honest, it's not very cool, I'm admitting this. But oh my fucking god, I've got the shits at the poetry night. I don't mean to be rude, but something ain't right. My stomach's asking for a chance on the microphone. I wrote a sonnet, but I'm not sure it's the night's tone. A jalfrezi is causing havoc and soon my eventual death. 'Cause if I let it rip as the poet takes her final breath, I cannot leave this venue proud, especially if this rumble gets even more loud. Oh god, this whole situation is literally quite shite. The tension of my poor bowels at the poetry night. Just a nice, fun one after the darkness of basement. This next one is called My Funeral, Your Arse by Emily Donoghue. Walk in. I'm the first to arrive, already there in a bejeweled basket, outrun open and me lying on my stomach, bare arse in the air, with one of those singing candles that sparkles sticking out of it. Meanwhile, the pews are lined with all the losers who loathed me and their bare asses, less lovely than mine, sitting and riding skirts of sequin sulking with an itching of an irrevocable jealousy, for yes, I have done death better too. No doubt Jenny will be there, Jenny who I can just see now in her miniskirt and pink plastic thong that sticks out like two handles of a shopping bag, who will bring her then boyfriend so that she can stand at the casket, getting pictures for all of her best angles, and possibly and likely and definitely my very worst. I can see it so clearly. Tom singing Simone, Avery playing online poker. Perfect Peter. With his hands down his pants. Ah, Peter, who I never did sleep with, who I probably should have slept with, at least once, or thrice. When the service ends, the losers, with one final pitiful bow to my brilliance, will sprawl their stomachs down the aisle, arses to arses, arses to air, and on my cue fireworks will shoot up and out of them, to the sound of Chaka Khan. Yes, my funeral will be brilliant, so don't die before me. I couldn't possibly survive it, and anyway, I need your ass there. This next one is called Home Is by Edeora Collins. A no-boned hug from your curvy mother, all pillows and bottom, sweet sulfate shampoo, the bottom bunk in the night, a brother up above, his curly fro on the pillow, dripping his dreams down to yours, the glasses on their faces, the faces behind doors, a horse on a hill. If these walls could talk, they'd cry instead. I'd hug them dead. In that other tongue across the sea, in that gone garden where a cousin is a little brown twin, the smell of smoke made sweet on somebody who is somebody to you, where the heart is, in my big body, covered in blood and pale blue sun, where someone is humming in the shade. It might have been me, young with awe-teared eyes. See how everything's alive, and home is where the heart breaks. Your funny blonde friend, her house is home too, an arm wrestle at the table that if I ever win will be the worst thing I do. Holding hands with you, tall, teenaged, omniscient, under stretched CDs beneath her sparse wire moustache, between a 3-second book before silence settles in the car, filling out out of stars in great droplets. They don't burst when they land. They don't stand invisible to your eyelids, so when you look into the night, you see home there. Home is a hoax. Home is ancient, big-bellied and strong-jawed like a silent oak. I am lying. It is hiding. I hope that when I find it, I'll know where it goes. Going home is like a seance. Going home to all of you. And I believe that is all of the poems in this book. So yes, this was all of the poems in the Musea 2026 anthology, which contains my first published poem, and will be available soon. Very exciting. I can't wait for that. I will be doing this every week, trying to start on Saturday night, inevitably leading into Sunday morning. It's the same night. You know what I mean. Probably not. And next week, I will be reading some Jack Kerouac alongside some background jazz music. So, yeah, do feel free to join me for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching my live. Yeah, I shall now go, but thank you so much.